So we are in 2026. We are officially in 2026, according to the colonizing calendar, the colonizer's calendar, right? But we are in 2026. So what does that mean? It means that the year just passed us by. It went by fast. A lot of stuff happened during this year. A lot of sad stuff we know happened is still happening to this minute, and a lot of stuff also happened that was positive, right? We got to talk about everything on this channel. So as we get going in 2026, I want to invite everybody to come join us to talk about revolutionary struggles from throughout not just the Americas, but the United States of America, the states, right? But also the world, and connect our state here in what we call Aslan to the rest of the world, worldwide, right? Globally, because we just don't talk about issues like Palestine and Cuba and other parts of the world that maybe some of you keep hearing about, but you don't quite understand. Well, what's the deal? What's the big deal out in Africa, Nigeria? What's up with that? Why should I care what the French do to the Nigerians, or what the French do to, this country, this poor country here? Well, because it connects to who we are here in the richest country in the world, most powerful country in the world in history, in the belly of the beast. We are in the belly of the beast. So many of the people who are out there fighting rebellion, trying to, stay alive. We want to be in solidarity with them. We want to uplift them, support them, be more than comrades. If you could be more than just an ally, and obviously be a conspirator. That means you could be alongside with them, get arrested, or organizing, things that are just, marches, resistance, direct action, or in some cases, as what Cesar Chavez and others have done, and Martin Luther King, the direct violence of non-violence, direct action through non-violence. We can actually do that. We can make it happen. What about violence, quote unquote? What about armed violence? What about violence that does not involve non-violence, or non was it passive resistance? Well, we support those too. It depends on the facts, of course. We support all these movements that fight for justice, whether it's nonviolent or violent, quote unquote. And I hate that word because that's just the colonizers' way to detract and to diminish the efforts of those people who are rising up, against against their oppressors, for justice, and against the injustices that are happening in their lands. So we got to be careful with our words, obviously, but that's one thing we'll be doing here in the channel, is looking at those national and worldwide issues, and also looking at some local issues. We're going to be looking at some serious local issues, dealing with the farm workers, dealing with the man, you name it, even the freaking Starbucks, man, the Starbucks boycotts, where people are trying to unionize. That's important. And we will be getting into details to what is it. Should we be fighting along racial lines, economic lines? Is it strictly class based, meaning just economic, where you fall? Are you the 1%, which very, very, very few people on this earth are? Are you that top, middle class, or in the center middle class, or are you at the vast majority, which is the lower class, the poorer class? Are you in that part of the working class? Because that's where most of us are, including a lot of us who have educations, right? So we don't get paid what we deserve. We don't get paid what we should be earning. So we'll be talking about local issues, and how to unite around an issue, and keep up that fight to where we get some what we call concrete gains. And this is not something I'm gonna say is gonna come right away. Nowhere does it. It comes with time, patience, and also a lot of the energy from young people, but then also a lot of the wisdom from the older people and the elders who've been there, who've done that, who've seen things. They've got so much to offer. We cannot, forget about the elders or the young people out there. And when I mean young people, I'm talking about people under 30, 20. Those are the ones coming up full of energy, want to be doing things, and I invite them. I said, let's do it, right? Without them, there is not going to be change, because they're our future, right? But then we got the old ones too, so let's keep them in mind. The viejitos y viejitas out there, our abuelitos and abuelitas, yeah, don't get that twisted. We need their wisdom and their guidance. The elders are there, I hope. So with that said, too, I'll also be talking about cultural issues, issues that impact all of us, whether it be diet, how to decolonize your diet. Man, we got to learn how to do that. Get away from all the sugar and processed food. Hey, it's a drug, just like anything. These things hit those dopamines, get those dopamines going in your brain. You want another hit of sugar, of social media, the likes, right? That people fight and strive for so much, or the actual drug and alcohol that, man, people get addicted to. And I'm not just talking about those kind of drugs. Also, there's social media, like I mentioned. There's Wi-Fi internet that people need. Now we got AI. AI is doing a number on everybody and everything, from children to elderly people being fooled when they saw a picture thinking it was a real thing when it wasn't. People don't know what's real or what's not, and that's been the case for a while. That's not new. So, as a history teacher, I am going to be talking about things that happened even before MK Ultra in the 1960s, Operation Mockingbird, where the media was told what to do and what to write, and a lot of the media was in on it with the CIA, FBI, etc. But it happened before with the Hearst newspapers, and even before that, the billionaires who were millionaires who controlled the media, they controlled the narrative, and that's one thing we'll be talking about here as a history channel as well. We'll be looking at the future, what that looks like. Like I mentioned, AI, we do not know what it looks like. It's going to be wild when it does happen. I don't know what to expect. Um, so move going into the new year. I got a feeling we're gonna be seeing this change like really quick. Just like when we saw the internet come along, and a lot of people who saw it happen 30 years ago, we weren't sure what to expect. We weren't sure what was going to happen, and then all of a sudden, wow, everybody's on the internet, right? Facebook is a big rage, and now today we won't even call it Facebook. Now it's Meta, right? Of course, you got Instagram and all these other things like TikTok. AI is really going to change the game. And this is where self defense also comes into play. We'll be talking a lot about self defense. That's something that I believe strongly that we should always defend our communities. We have the human right? We have the inherent, that means it's in us within every human, to defend ourselves, our children, our families against any harm, deadly harm, or harm that we perceive is coming our way from anything or anybody. And in that spirit, we will discuss issues like Emiliano Zapata back there, who he fought back using arms against the corrupt Mexican government along with Pancho Villa. But we're also going to be talking about our indigenous ancestors, because it didn't start with Zapata and Villa. It goes way back. And 1492, we can mark it as the year, obviously, when a lot of these colonizers came and started taking stuff from Columbus, enslaving people and taking the resources, the gold, right, to the wounded knee. And that's something not too long ago. Some people are still alive who, when that happened. So we'll be talking and giving respect, much respect to our indigenous brothers and sisters, the native tribes out there, the people who know firsthand what's going on, because they were made to march in those long, deadly walks to nowhere, and eventually having to make their home someplace thousands of miles away. So we'll be talking about history. With that said, and self defense, we'll be talking about what do you do when ICE comes along, right? When one of these government agencies comes along, as they're raiding your home, they're raiding, picking people off the streets, kidnapping them, unaliving them, as they say, right? Some of them are coming up, missing and then unalived in one of these detention facilities. The numbers are skyrocketing. So we need to talk about that, because what if somebody does come to your home? They are claiming to be a ICE agent, or an agent with the INS, or whatever they're claiming, police department, who knows, whatever they're claiming to be. It's not uncommon for these fools to come. A lot of these fools come, and then it's not even the real one, or if it is, they're the deputized and they're criminals themselves. What do you do when they start violating your human rights? I believe in self defense. That's my point. I will never tell anybody not to pick up a gun, a firearm. We have a Second Amendment right to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves by any means necessary, as Malcolm X said. And you know what? We will be talking about by any means necessary, and that includes defending ourselves by any means necessary. And if they come to your house, somebody comes to your house, and it's like they want to, do you some harm. What would I, suggest? Hey, defend yourself, defend your family, defend your community, especially if those agents aren't showing you the real deal, which you call warrant signed by a judge, not an administrative person from INS. No, a judge, a warrant, right? There's a search warrant, and then there's an arrest warrant. There's two types of warrants there, and unfortunately, a lot of our gente don't have that kind of knowledge. So we'll be talking about that on this channel. With that said, I'm also telling young people and older people alike is that today's revolution is not one that's going to be fought, with bullets to begin with. Honestly, it's going to be fought with with social media, with AI, the internet. It's been going on for a while now, but you can wreck or destroy a human being with social media just as quick as you can with a bullet. Sure, the result might look, the end result might look different, but and what led there, but it's just as deadly, just as harmful. So we got to talk about defending ourselves in these times, and also we got to be careful because there are a lot, and we'll be talking about this too, because part of the Brown Beret, the Black Panthers, AIM, Young Lords, all those historic militant organizations that were around, and many of them who are still around today, they know firsthand being infiltrated by law enforcement. COINTELPRO, they took out Fred Hampton, Chairman Fred Hampton out of Chicago, who created the first Rainbow Coalition, and threatened this threatened the FBI because they didn't want a quote unquote black messiah or a person coming up and basically uniting the people, especially around class. So we'll be talking about that, why it's important to make sure that we work with our allies, work with our gente, don't fall into those traps where they start using us, using our words, and using pitting them against us against you other people, for example, two different groups. That happened to the indigenous people, the Aztecs, for example. Españoles came in 1492 and Hernando Cortez. One of the best weapons they had were the diseases which they brought with them, and they were immune to them, so they killed off millions of indigenous Aztec people, Mexicas, from Mexico. They also brought the weapons, including the cannons and their guns and their dogs. Obviously, those dogs were weapons too. And then finally, they use a warfare tactic called divide and conquer. They pitted people against each other. They use the enemies of some of the Mexicas and some of the Aztecas and some of the indigenous people against their own, right? And so they use them to divide and conquer. It's a simple term. Think about it. It's been employed forever. It's nothing new, but they definitely used it against us, and they did a number against us. So we'll be talking about a lot of history. And with that said, I know I've said a lot up until this point. What can I say? If you want to join, definitely subscribe, join our community here. I'm going to try to report to everybody what's happening around the world. Like I said, what's happening locally and around the states. Try to answer some of these questions. You got a topic you think I should bring up? Definitely, shoot it my way. But the other thing is, I got a list of things I'm already going to be speaking about, and one of them is going to start out with the term Chicano. What is a Chicano? What is a Chicana? What is all that? Because a lot of people still are not certain, and some people out there still want to destroy that term. And you'll learn why, the historical significance of Chicano, number one. Number two, along with the historical significance, there's also what I've learned throughout the years, what I see as why it's such an important term and what it means for us as a people. And then number three, why some people, including some colonizers out there and enemies, would love for us to never use that term. Why are they so afraid of that term, Chicano and Chicana? And I'll do that in one of our very first reports here in 2026. And hopefully people could take it with them and understand and take pride in who they are, and hopefully use it for the best and the good, because that's what it's about: education being shared, education being passed on, and education, not sitting stale, right? We wanted to go places. We want to plant those seeds so those little chavalitos and chavalitas can grow up and do the right thing and become changers in the world. Change the world, in other words. And with that said, I'm out again. Welcome to this channel. I am Rafael Avitia, Maestro Avitia.